understanding their perspective and not imposing your own perspective onto what they're saying. To me, that's what it is. I can say that myself. I found myself in situations where I'm having a great conversation, and I am kind of actively, there's something in my mind that I want to say, so I'm kind of cutting the person off. So it's kind of like there's this idea that I'm going to forget what I have to say, or like, like I need to say this now, where it's like, okay, maybe that you don't need, maybe take that out of the equation right now and just listen to what the person is saying. Because and also I think when confusion comes up, when you don't know exactly what the person is saying, those are opportunities to ask, and so for clarity, that way you understand what they're saying. Communication is a two-way street, right?
Yeah,
the way I see it.
But in my experience, not a lot of people ask for clarity. Like, I do, and I find it on both ways. And comment below if you're finding this, because for me, I'm like a clarity junkie, and if I'm not crystal clear on what you're saying, I will be like, is this what you mean? Is this what you're asking? What are you expecting of me? And I find that makes a lot of people uncomfortable or annoyed with me. I mean, the right people, they really appreciate that. I do also have people that are like, wow, thank you so much for asking that, because I hadn't thought about it, right? Or a lot of times people will think that they're clear, like especially my clients, like I work with a lot of singles, and they think that they're crystal clear on the kind of partner that they want. And I'll be asking these like clarifying questions, and by the end of like the first 10 minutes, they're just like, maybe I'm not as clear as I thought I was. So I feel like people either they don't like it or they do like it. But for me, it's the only way to go. And I don't like it when people react, especially with like a big emotion or this big projection of how they're seeing my world without even asking me first, Like, I'll even give an example, so I'm coming back to New York, y'all. I'm coming back to New York on June 1st. Junior's watching, Edwin, oh my gosh, Gwendolyn, all these people. I'm coming back to New York, and for a lot of different reasons. A lot of I had 2 family members pass away last week from COVID, and I haven't been in New York for like regularly for like 8 years, and I just really want to be close to family right now. It's just whatever. There's all these reasons my intuition told me, and I'm going there. And so there's a lot of different reasons why. And I texted a friend, like, I booked my flight to New York. And immediately they were like, that's going to be such a great trip, and that's going to be so dope. And I was taken aback, because I'm like, first of all, my filter was like, first of all, who the hell is hopping on a plane for a dope trip right now? Like, nobody. So that's why it took me aback. However, I was like, let me put my, like, I think you didn't say this word, but like listening filter aside. And I literally was like, why do you say that? Like, why do you say that that's going to be a great trip? And they're like, right. Well, every time I go to New York, it's like nostalgia and it's so much fun. And I was just like, yeah, that's not my experience. And
but you see, he framed it from his model, right? So he wasn't, I think.
Thanks, Junior. Hey, Sophie. Hey, Ashley. Shamik said something, but go ahead, Felix. Say what you gotta say. We'll look at the comments.
Yeah, so this, I feel like what I'm experiencing right now is what usually people fear. Like, I had something that I was gonna say from what you said. So now it's like completely gone, and I'm kind of like in the moment trying to like get it back. But it's that idea of, damn it, it was right there. It was right there.
You were saying that he was responding from his perspective.
His model of what he thought, right? So you were saying that people become annoyed or they kind of and I just got it right back. So people kind of they don't like when you ask clarifying questions. and some people do, right? It's because they have different perspective, right? If I ask something, I got it right back. If I ask something, I'm asking because I don't know. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? But for a lot of us, we have experience, and this is for everyone. Like whenever someone asks me a clarifying question, sometimes I get into like, why are they asking me? But people usually ask because they don't know, and some people do ask, like dickheads. They do ask because they know, but they trying to see what you think. Like some people will ask while thinking they have the answer to your question, where it's like you can't have the answer to my question, not with the same clarity that I have, because you
Yeah.
don't live in my mind, you don't have my model of my world, right? We're different. So
Yeah.
to you it may be dope, right, because that's how it's framed for you, but to me right now you're not being present to what's actually happening
For me. And that's also like not the other person. Like I want to take this away from like that particular person, because that person is a wonderful, amazing person. But in that moment, like I felt so somber about buying this ticket, and just this really like need to like be like, it's where I grew up, like a lot of my friends are there, like even if we're still social distancing at that time, at least people could like drive by my house and be in their car and talking to me while I'm on my stoop, you know what I mean? And I just it came from this place of like wanting connection and intimacy, and it did not come from like, yo, I just booked a ticket to Miami with my girls, like. And so I think for me what it was I felt hurt and not seen and not valid. I felt like there wasn't an emotional presence with me, and that's my feelings. That doesn't necessarily like make the other person wrong, but
no
that question or
absolutely
that
not
statement brought up those feelings for me. And here's the piece about open communication. So for me, I always want to like be honest and present in the moment as much as I can, right? I know that it's not always easy, especially when emotions are high, but I could have easily been like, yeah, thumbs up emoji, and not said anything back and not clarified. But you know what would have happened? I would have had a thought, like that would have like ticked a box or like added a pebble in my shoe about this person, and it would have continued to distance the intimacy between me and this person over time if I don't address the things that bother me as quickly as I can. And a lot of my intimate relationships, we have an agreement where if something's bothering you, you address that shit within 12 to 24 hours or less. And for me, sometimes I don't have that open agreement with the other person, but for me, that's my agreement with myself. Back to your point about not being a dick to yourself, is like, I need to say how I feel. One, because I care about this person and I want to create intimacy and connection. So I want this person to know how my mind works, how my emotions work, and how I received that communication, right? I could have easily brushed it off, thumbs up emoji, but I know that over time, like how often, so like to those of you watching, how often over time does a pebble get dropped in to the shoe of your relationship until finally you're like, I don't even like this person anymore. And over time you find you just cut them off or you ghost them and you just never speak again because of all these unspoken communications that have happened. And so for me, my best friends love it, right? Because they're like, I freaking love that you always speak your mind as much as you can, because I always know where I stand with you. Like, you'll know if I'm pissed at you, if I'm in love with you, you'll know all of those things. But some people, a lot of people, they really can't handle it, and they just, they don't fuck with me. And that, I used to take that personally, but like, that's a self-love thing for me. Like, how to not be a dick to myself is I have to communicate. Like, even if I don't know exactly what I'm feeling, like I'll just be like, whoa, something just happened and there's like an awkward moment right now and I don't know what it is, but like, let's figure it out together, kind of thing. And we did, so I explained, like, I wouldn't have said that to me. Like, I'm going home because I had 2 family members die in a week, and I'm stuck in another country right now, away from anyone that I know. I'm like essentially alone. So I'm not going on vacation. I'm not going for a great trip. And then that
Yeah.
person was like, no, I totally get it. And boom, like cleared, no more pebble in my shoe. You know what I mean? And so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I mean, it's the expectation, like, but that's what you want, and because the other person doesn't know where you're coming from. So for you to share yourself authentically, these are the kind of relationships that you want to have, right? If I annoy you, or if I do something that I want to know, therefore I can navigate I can be with you in a way that you're comfortable with, that I don't make you, you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
that's the kind, that's
But that's
the
intimacy
relationship
right
we
there.
strive for.
Yeah.
So Shamik also said, I sometimes address too often and it could be burdensome, especially in dating. I'm always dating guys who don't show their full hand and I don't know where I stand with them.
Mm. Who could relate to that? Hello. So what do we have to say about that? Honestly, Shamik, with that, I think I'm not going to pretend to know exactly what you mean, but I feel like my interpretation of what you're saying is I relate to that. And honestly, like for me, when I continue to tweak my vision in terms of what I want in a romantic partnership, and I've come to terms, and not only romantic, like friendships too, I've come to terms with the fact that I want to fuck with people who want to fuck with my honesty, who appreciate the fact that I'm constantly addressing and checking in and talking about those things, because those are the same people who want deeper intimacy and connection and are willing to do the work to do that. They're not the kind of people who are not available and therefore will hate it and ghost you, or be like, you're too much, or you're too this, or you're too that, or you ask too many questions. Like for me, honestly, in a dating situation, but even in a friendship situation, like freaking ask me questions, like ask me what I mean. Like I live for that shit, it shows me that you have an interest. And you also said this earlier too, Shamik, you were saying it's a practice of mindfulness to be constantly curious, right? If you can practice to be constantly curious about the person that's in front of you, the person or people that are in front of you, it really opens up the gateway for so much deeper intimacy and connection. And I feel like, and here's the thing, deeper intimacy and connection means more feels, right? And not a lot of us, or not all of us, I should say, have the physical and emotional capacity to feel all the feels, right? And so it's a vibration. And so you want to attract people, I want to attract people that match that vibration. So for me, the people that appreciate that direct clarity and all of that, they also give that to me. They show up to me in that way, and therefore the vibration matches. And like for me, I had to train myself from a self-love place to stop being attracted to bozos who were not into that kind of intimacy, where it's like the minute I ask a clarifying question, it's like, damn, why you all into me, or whatever, or like, why you thirsty? And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, asking a question and being curious about you is thirsty? Like if that's thirsty, then you ain't for me, you know what I mean? So yeah, great point though. But hi Monica, hi Lisette, hi Megan, I think I said hi already. Hi to all these people, I see all these hearts, thank you so much. Say hey Roxanne. Yeah, leave us a comment. If you're watching the replay, give us a hashtag replay, leave us the hearts, ask questions, make comments. This is kind of how we create this conversation. But yeah, I think the how to not be a dick, first of all, like you were saying, Felix, starts with don't be a dick to yourself. But then also like decide like what's the level of intimacy that you're ready for and that you want from the people in your life, and be willing to let go and not really fuck with the people who aren't at that level. That's still a lesson I'm learning.
And so, yeah. and I also think, like, are you willing to give what you're receiving, what you want to receive, right? So where can you look for opportunities to be vulnerable? Where can you look for opportunities to be seen, right? Because as you give, you will receive. Yeah. There's no other way around it. It's not, you're not going to receive and then be giving.
Yeah.
right?
Like
You
if you want more people to be curious about you,
yes.
maybe you need to start by being curious about other
Well,
people.
that's someone, and this will stick with me forever. Someone said, you want to be interesting, be interested.
Ooh,
If
I
you want to
remember
be
that one.
interesting, be interested. If you're
Yeah.
interested in someone, because people love to talk about themselves. I love talking about myself. So if you get me to talk about myself, and just like, and everyone else, like, yo, so tell me about your childhood. How was it? Like, and we can just, that right there, we can spend hours on that.
My
Spend
favorite
hours
first
on
date
that.
topic is tell me about all your childhood traumas. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
But honestly, if someone was down to tell me that might be, that might be what we're talking about here. So I just pulled one of the cards. This is actually from my
Wait, hold
love
on.
activation.
Shamik asked me, Felix, are you attracted to women who play hard to get? Be honest. All right,
I think you are, but be honest.
No, yeah. So I'm gonna be honest. Before I had trouble. Give what you most, yeah. So I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna answer this question as wholly as possible. I did have a problem that when I no wholly WHOLLY.
Got you.
I had a problem that when I started, like, when I liked this woman, I liked her a lot. Like, it's very intense for me. And then when I was like in the dating stage, I was trying to, like, get her to go out with me. I was like on it. But then when she started to like me and she started to reciprocate the feelings, I would start doubting her choices because I didn't really love what I was seeing in myself. So I would question her attractiveness to her, to me. Wait, who's that? So in that sense, when I'd never been attracted to women that played hard to get. I love to connect, and I love to talk, and I love to listen, and I love hearing stories and being like, what? Wow, that's crazy. And that's like genuine for me. Like, so, but there were moments where when someone like started to like me, I would start to disengage or disconnect or go into my funks and basically say, basically get into the thought of like, they're not going to understand what I go through when I disconnect. They're not going to understand me as a person. They're not going to like me. So I kind of like repulse, like, by that just created I would act.
So you played hard to get.
Yeah, like I would like, and then when they started to like back off, then I was like, okay, back to the chase. So it's a horrible cycle, and
it is a horrible. I was in that cycle too. I would either I used to either really be into guys who either didn't treat me well or were not available for what I really wanted and needed. I would be so into them and like want them and be like, but I like him. But the ones that were available emotionally and showed interest and pursued, I wouldn't be interested, right? And it's this classic cycle, and I think all genders, all sexualities go through this classic cycle of you're into the one that's not into you, but the one that's into you is either boring, strange, weird, not attractive, or whatever. And for that, I mean, it's a classic cycle, and I see it all the time. And for that, I will almost always call bullshit and say that absolutely starts with you and has nothing to do with the other people.
Well, that's
that's what you're describing, like the energy within you, like there wasn't a vibrational match to someone who was actually available and interested, but there was a vibrational match to someone who was unavailable or not interested. And that absolutely, like, what is that? We talked about the deceptions last week. That's deception number 3, energetic entanglement with the past, where something happened in the past. So your energetic signature when it comes to relationships has an attraction for a certain dynamic where you're not getting what you need. And so even though your mind is like, this situation sucks, your vibration is attracting this dynamic that is of unavailability, right? And then it also perpetuates the lack of self-love, because then you're thinking, oh, this is me, like always the bridesmaid, never the bride kind of thing. Or the people that I'm into are never into me, or the people, like, it's just, but it's all
Well,
your subconscious programming, you know?
And you're looking for the evidence
Mm-hmm.
for the belief to be true. So it just it keeps reinforcing the belief, and that I am this. And so you will continue to live out who you think you are, because that's how life works. And the work is actually getting yourself to believe, to getting out of who you think you are and becoming who you desire to be, or who you're becoming, or who you are in essence, because who we are in essence is not who we are right now, right? So we have inherited these things from our parents, from our grandparents, from like generations. So we've inherited behaviors, we inherited genetics, we inherited all these things that there's an undoing that needs to happen. It's not about changing, it's about coming back home, coming back to who you are. And that's what transformation is about. It's not about becoming anything. You already are. It's about peeling the layers and becoming who you actually are. And that's the real work.
That is the real work, you know. And like, back to this point that we've been kind of grounding on, of like, give what you most wish to receive. It's like, what I tell people is like, what are the things that you complain about most in your relationships, romantic or otherwise? What are the things you complain about most? And then what are the things that you say you want the most? Those are, like, I always say, like, write a freaking list and be like, am I giving these things to myself, right? And I think I talked about this last week. Like, one of my clients was literally like, we were talking about how they want someone who adores them. And we looked into their self-talk, and I was like, all right, observe your self-talk for a week and tell me on a scale of 1 to 10. And I ask all my clients to do this, right? So y'all can do this too. On a scale of 1 to 10, where's your self-talk? 10 being 100% of the things that you say to yourself, about the world, about other people. That 100% of the things that you say and that you think are positive. So I don't know anyone who's at a 10, but if you are, maybe you're baby Jesus. And 1 or 0 is like 0%, right? And so this client was like, yeah, I want someone who's going to adore me and give me compliments and this and that. And when they observed their self-talk, was like, oh shit, like, I'm at a 1. Like, 90% of this stuff that I say is negative. As soon as I wake up in the morning, it's like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be up. Blah, 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 blah. Then I look at myself, then I'm like, yeah, what about when you look in the mirror? What are the thoughts? What are the things? And it's like, I look in the mirror, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, my bags, oh my God, I need makeup. I broke out over here, you know? And so, and here's the thing, like, when I work with people, it's mostly about like asking those clarifying questions. So it's funny, it annoys a lot of people, but it ends up being my greatest gift when I'm working with clients. And so I'm like asking these clarifying questions, and this person actually figured it out for themselves. They were like, I want someone who's going to adore me, but I don't even adore myself.
But and I'm gonna take it a level deeper.
Take it deeper. Woo!
Whatever you do unto another, you do unto yourself.
I love that. Yes.
So when you give to another, I've actually made it a practice to, like, whenever I get a check, whenever I get money coming in, I'm making it a practice to donate, to look for opportunities to give. Mm-hmm. Because whatever I give to someone, there's no selfless act, right? So it actually comes back, and it makes me feel good. And that feeling propels me forward, and it gives me the next level of my thought, my next highest thought about myself. Because that's what we're doing. We're beings having a human experience, right? So whatever you give to another, you're really giving to yourself, because of the idea of oneness, right? The illusion is that we're separate, but we're all.
I love it when you get like this. Keep going.
But it's so true. Like, and the thing is, I don't think I'm anyone else, right? So obviously I can't experience nothing but me, but it's changed my life in the sense that I can't see it. Like there's nothing that gives me reassurance that it's true.
Yeah.
But what does give me, what kind of reinforces that the belief is that every time I do it, it makes me feel good, and
Yeah.
it makes me feel excited, and it
Yeah.
makes me like level up. So I'm like, oh shit, this has to be true because
Yeah.
I'm living it.
Yeah. But on the flip side too, when you're judging and criticizing other people, you're also harming yourself, right? And so,
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
yeah. So for me, so not to go into it, but like I study Ayurveda a little bit. If you want to look it up, Ayurveda,
Iron
life
what?
science. Some of you watching, you're probably super into it, and some of you watching probably know way
Iron
more than
Veda?
me. Ayurveda, it means life science in Sanskrit, I believe. It's a 5,000, it's a millennia old science. Basically, the concept is it's like coming back to like nature and the natural flow of things and the natural elements of things. And so one of the concepts of Ayurveda is that we each have like dominant elements in us, right? So the air, fire, earth, right? So anyway, I have a lot of fire and earth. So, but my fire usually gets out of balance when in relationship with other people. So usually when I'm out of balance within myself, it goes out because fire goes out. And so I torch the village. So I know for me, if I'm being hypercritical and complaining about other people, I'm actually torching myself. And that's just that helps me see that there's an imbalance within me. So if I'm like extra bitching either like about my partner, about my friends, about my work, like I'm like, okay, like I'm doing that to myself kind of thing. Other people, usually air and earth, they will, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong because I studied this a long time ago. They will turn it inward. So some people, when they're off balance, they turn that negativity on themselves. So there's like acting out
That's
and
me.
then acting in. Yeah. So
Yes.
they like, you like freaking berate yourself, right? Like if
Implode,
something goes wrong, yeah. Either way, though, to your point of the meta, we are all one. Either way, whether it's out or in, it's still damage, right?
So destructive. Yeah.
Similarly, when you do the good, either out or in, it does affect the whole from a meta perspective, right? It's just a call to be more aware. And in the spirit of being more aware, like one of the things that I was really fired up, because like I said, there was a few posts that I had. If y'all want to look on my timeline, they're in blue. But there were some questions that I asked that sparked some really good conversation on the feed. And it was like about asking clarifying questions, and especially in a dating situation, do you ask direct questions or do you imply, right? And so I don't know, what are you, Felix? I'm more like a direct person, but what
during when you're dating,
especially during dating, but I feel like regardless you're the same usually.
Yeah, I can't so that's the thing, right? So there's kind of like this idea that I'm going to be different based on where I am. And the thing is, I'm myself wherever I go. So I believe that everything affects everything. So I can't be like, at work I'm gonna be like this, at school I'm gonna be like this, in my relationship I'm gonna, no, like I am how I am, the whole person. So I'm not going to, so if I'm dating, especially if I'm dating, because the stakes are low. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like for us, like some of us take the stakes of dating so high. The stakes are low. Ask whatever the fuck you want. Be how, don't.
Not everyone feel like that though, to be like, for me, especially if I really like somebody, I'm like, I get nervous.
Okay.
And I have to like ground myself because like, it depends on the dynamic. Honestly, it depends on the energetic kind of exchange, because some people I'm just like open and honest and direct. Other people I just don't feel as safe to do that. And that probably just says more about
notice who you become in the presence of someone. Because I believe this is what I believe. I believe the second that you step into space with someone else, you're no longer just yourself. You are now sharing consciousness with someone else, right? So like the moment I stepped into the Zoom, I'm no longer myself. I am now part of our collective, right, mind, right? So I'm working with you and I'm bouncing off you and my energy is bouncing off you. Now, when I go back off the Zoom, I'm myself again. I can go back to, I don't know, doing whatever the fuck I do. I don't know why I'm being like
Making
this.
mango at 1 a.m.
Yeah, like cooking at 1 a.m. and drinking more wine. But you know, once I step into space with someone, you have to notice who you become, right? So if I become defensive with someone, if I become guarded, it's telling me the dynamic of what we create, right?
Mm.
So I get either to ignore it or address it, right? I get to honor myself, or I get to be like, you know what, this doesn't matter, when it can matter, you know. I'm not saying that, like, I'm saying feel it out, flow it out, because it's not so much about what you experience outside, is what you get to experience inside when you're with someone.
Another person.
When you're with someone.
Yeah, there you go, you got it. You live.
Right. So notice the experience of yourself when you're with someone. You know, if someone's judging you, you're gonna notice that, and then you're gonna be like, well, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like shamed or judged or guilt or whatever?
There's a question on here that I think this will be a good question to kind of end on. And Ron is saying, sorry, he can't join today, but good to see us both still talking. Same time next week, Wind Down Wednesday, Self-Love and Quarantine.
We'll probably do that. We'll probably do one before too. Yeah,
we'll do one before, but like, I'd like Wind Down Wednesdays as like a definite every week. As I decide this for Felix, I didn't even ask you.
No, communication, right?
I mean, you can say no. Oh, actually, so I want to get to Shamik's question to kind of wrap it up. But
okay.
But before that, how I just said you can say no. So like, here's the thing. So for me personally, my preference. Here's the thing. My mother and my father and my personality are in alignment with, I'm gonna ask for what I want when I want, more often than I don't. Now, I understand that not everyone is like that, but that is how I am. So, like, if something doesn't work for me, like if someone's like, hey, can you give me a call, like, right now? I'm going to be like, can I call you in 10 minutes, right? Now, I know a lot of people will tend to be like a yes person and just, like, try to accommodate, right? But for me, I also try to remind people, like, you can say no. So, like, for me, that was kind of my way of being like, I want to do this every week. Would you like to do this every week? We didn't previously discuss it.
I'm on board.
However,
I'm on board.
Right, but oopsies, I almost, like, kicked over. However, I'm open to you saying no. And I feel like I have to remind people that constantly, because I know that I can say no. And so when I ask people for something, especially for a favor, I'll be like, you can say no. Like, remember, you can say no. It's not going to make me not love you less, whatever, right? So, I don't know. That's just another piece there that I feel like I wish more people knew that they could say no, or more people knew that they could renegotiate instead of, like, saying yes and then silently resenting me for, like, years. Like, I hate that.
Absolutely. And people can say no, and they have the freedom to say no. And also, I wouldn't want you to do something that you don't want to do.
But not everyone understands that. Not everyone comes from that perspective.
I know, and not everyone is coming from a place that I'm coming from or you're coming from.
Yeah.
Right. So that comes with a matter of, like, doing work, and, like, I've had to do a lot of work to be like, I want whatever you want for you. I don't want, like, if you don't want something, you don't need it. You freely get to choose me. You freely get to choose our relation. You freely get to choose to show up, because I wouldn't want you to be like, I don't, like, you're free, you know, like,
But to your point, not everyone comes from that perspective, and not everyone does come from the perspective that it's okay to say no. And I know this because I'll say a simple no to some people and they act like you freaking like,
and not even myself.
No,
not even I came
it's
from,
like, because I have a right to say no. Because I
and
don't
not even I came from that. Like, this has
no, I
been
didn't
a
come
process.
from that either. I came from like, you better say yes and bend over backwards.
Yeah. Like, please.
Okay, so let's wrap up today, wrap up today with the final question that Shamik asked. What will dating look like during and post COVID-19? So obviously this is speculation, but I would love to hear your opinion. But I'm gonna say mine first because I want to.
Right.
Say mine first. Okay.
Communication.
So as we exercise it now.
Right. It's live.
What I've been noticing is that because we're not able to be in those same superficial situations that we were before, people are realizing and waking up to the fact that they really desire real, authentic intimacy and like none of that bullshit. And so what I've been seeing is that people are being more open and honest and like bold and risk-taking, right? Because there is that kind of concept of we may never whatever again. There's like this looming thing of like, we might all die and go to hell, you know what I mean? Or whatever. And I can't speak for everyone, but there's a looming something that is kind of kicking up people in the ass and giving them this perspective of it's today or never, right? And I do experience that people are being much more open and bold and risk-taking. And honestly, that is what I wish people would be in dating. And like Shamik said earlier, because he, talking about lowering the stakes a little bit, like I feel like for every person we should find that sweet spot of how can I be open and bold and outrageous and risk-taking enough, trust myself enough that I can handle that while also being discerning enough to not get too invested in a dynamic that's toxic or doesn't work or like is unavailable, right? That's the sweet spot. And to me, dating is about testing out that sweet spot where you're like, you're in it and you're like, okay, well, that was too open. Okay, that was too closed and guarded. And so it's like, I got it. The best way that I can say it, and I've said this to a few of my clients, is think of your heart as like a screen door. And so with the screen door, there's still the screen there. So like the mosquitoes or whatever can't get in. But at least you're open enough to kind of see. It's kind of like when you open the door and you don't know who's there. So you at least have the screen there. So you open the door and you're like, hey, what do you want? What do you need if you don't know the person? It's not like letting them in the house, but it's not like speaking through a peephole, right? So it's like each person, I think, should find that balance for themselves. Like, because some people I feel like are so open and end up like trauma bonding with the wrong person. And like I said, talk about their childhood wounds on the first date. And it's just like too much, too fast, right? And there's kind of like a boundary issue there. So it's like, what is open enough where you're still discerning, not closed, not guarded, but you're discerning what's right for you. So I feel like this situation in isolation has had us be kind of realize more like, I need to stop playing games. Like, I need to just be open. Like, now that all possible connection has been taken away, even the fake meaningless sex for the most part, it's like, what do I really want? And so I think now is a good time. And you've actually said this in like our first live, like to really be with yourself and like, what do I really want? And then post, really vibrate that energy so strongly that you only attract and are attracted to that same kind of vibe. Where if you meet someone who is not on that level, who is guarded, who is talking about, damn, why are you calling me 2 days in a row? That's thirsty. Like, I don't want someone that's going to think connection is thirsty. I don't want someone that's going to think intimacy is thirsty. Like, connection is connection. We all freaking need it. You know what I mean? So it's like, use this time to determine what it is you really want. And you can even play with that. Go online, go on the apps. It's like, we can't meet up and hook up anyway. So like, play with those boundaries is what I think. And then afterwards, you can play with those boundaries in person and like come to that place that's perfect for you, like that perfect place of openness plus discerning. And may the odds be ever in your favor.
I think once you get yourself into a place where you start really loving yourself and liking yourself,
yes,
you can stop focusing so much on where the relationship is going to go and focus on the process of dating.
Yes.
And just have fun with it and have people get to see who you are having fun. I think now there's definitely a deeper need for connection, and we've taken away the physical aspect of it. So now we have mind and soul, right? So if you're gonna connect with someone, it's gonna be mind and soul, and there's no alternative right now. So I think right now, because of that, it's a great time to meet, connect with someone, and don't. I think it's important to do the work to get yourself to a place where you are not attached to the person, and when you start recognizing that you're attaching yourself to the person, because there's so many people out there, and you don't have to be pining for someone just because they're hot, or they're
there.
they're hot, they whatever they give you, like, they make you feel some way. Yeah. Right? So people make you feel some way. No, that's you who's making you are making yourself feel that way for someone.
Yeah.
Like, you're responsible for your feelings. So post right now is a great time. So to date.
Put yourself out there.
Dating is always it's a process. I don't want to say this, but it's a process of elimination. Like, some people will
Honestly, yes.
be casted by the wayside, and you can't even take it personal. You just got to move on and keep going, paddling the boat, whatever. I don't know where my analogy went, but so post Corona, post quarantine, it's people are gonna go back. It's gonna swing back really fucking hard. And people are going to, swing back really hard. And physical is going to swing back really hard. So just, keep that in mind, because that shit is going to swing back, right? Right now, we're like swinging to emotional, mind, body, mind, spirit.
Have an orgy. Is that what you're
saying?
But
it's going to swing back.
Well, I think that also solidifies, like, what I was saying, too, about use this time to really decide who you want to be and who you're going to be, and no judgment, right? Like, if once quarantine is over, if you want to go hoe around, like, go hoe around, but be honest with yourself. Here's the thing too, like, deception number one is denying your true desires, whatever. We're wrapping up, but a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm down for like casual sex, but you're really not, like, so especially a lot of my clients, like, I was like, you would not be working with me if you were down for casual sex.
Yeah.
Now you think you are,
yeah.
but you're not. Yeah, go ahead.
We like, it's important. Just like if you eat shitty food and you're like, oh my God, like, my stomach hurts. Notice how that makes you feel. That's not gonna make you want to do it again. If you're not aware of how it's making you feel, then you're gonna continue to do it, because you're gonna get that short-term hit, but then like that it's gonna be longer, right? So it's the same idea. Notice how when you're having casual sex, how it makes you feel. Do you feel devalued? Do you feel, and if you feel good and if you feel satisfied, cool, you're in alignment. But if you don't, then you get to check that too, and how to, and not keep punishing yourself.
Yeah.
By continuing.
Yeah.
To do that.
And that requires honesty with self and awareness of self, right? So now's a great time to decide who you are, who you want to be. And it's okay if you don't get all the pieces and all the parts, because then, once quarantine is over and we get to start interacting, and like, give yourself room to like mess up and not know.
I'll be like 20% whole bag.
Hell yeah,
20%.
Just 20%, shoot.
One out of
But yeah,
five.
like when you go back out there, it's like give yourself permission to kind of play with it. And I really love what you said too. It's like focus on having fun. Like I feel like, especially for people who have been single for so long, it's like I've been guilty of this. Like we make it like another job that drains us, and it's like dating is supposed to be fun. And here's the thing: if you're out there for your like forever person, when you find that forever person, that's gonna be forever. So enjoy the time right now to like, I'm figuring it out. And I think we shame ourselves so much for being in the figuring it out phase. And it's totally cool to be there. And it's a beautiful time to be there. It's like, yeah, I don't know who I want to be when I grow up. Great.
Think of it like making a new friend with the option of going into a relationship. Like it's like renting a home with the option to buy.
Lease option. I'm open for lease option dating. Okay.
No, like you're really just making a friend. I honestly believe that friendship is the foundation in which all relationships flourish.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that's good for tonight. So thank you everyone so much for watching. And oh my gosh, so many people have joined and hopped off and hopped on. But I love all the conversations. But Shamik,
can you see all of them? Because I can't.
Agnes, Jane, Jessica, Gwendolyn, Monica, Junior, Edwin, Ashley, Sophie, Megan, Lisette. Oh my gosh, awesome. Roxanne, Shara, Emily, Corazon, Ron, Marina. These are only the people that I see, and I feel like we don't always see everybody. So again, that's why I always encourage, if you're watching, leave a comment, leave a hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. But yeah, we'll be here same time next week and probably sooner. Just keep it locked to my page, follow, turn on the notifications. Actually, Felix, you were going to say something? Because I have an announcement about tomorrow, but okay, you muted yourself. Anyway, tomorrow I am bringing on Jocelyn Jackson Williams. She is a trainer and teacher of the grief recovery method. So a lot of you know, we're all going through grief right now. A lot of people have had family members, people close to them who have passed away. We're also going through the grief of losing our sense of normalcy. We've all lost a lot of our jobs, our income. We've all lost something. And I believe that grief is so inappropriately treated, not because it's anyone's fault, but because we're not properly educated on how to deal with the very natural things that come up during grief and loss. And so I'm really excited to bring Jocelyn on tomorrow. What is it? 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, we're going to talk about grief and how to deal with it and all that good stuff. So tune in tomorrow. I'm going to see if I could schedule it. Like, I don't know. I haven't tried that yet, but that's like a thing. So, but yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow, and Felix and I will see you both next week, and probably sooner. Those are my closing statements. Mm-hmm. Do you have any closing statements before we hop off?
Oh no, have fun. And also, reach out to someone today, check in on someone.
I haven't talked to in a while, right?
Uh-huh.
Especially someone you haven't talked to in a while, right?
Yeah, reach out. You have no idea how it's going to touch them. There's a lot of people losing people. This is very real. There's a lot of pain out there. There's a lot of grief. So reach out to someone. Don't wait to be reached out to.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Thank you. So I'll see y'all live tomorrow, and Felix and I will see you live whenever the hell else we do it. So keep it locked. Love y'all so much. Thank you so much for the conversation. I'm so grateful for you all. Talk to you later.
TTYL.
Live stream.